We must pray now. Pray that he is watching. For it is he that they fear. They fear the mark of the beast.
And it carries a steel-barreled sword of vengeance. The Slayer's time is now.
id Softworks has done something that not many developers can successfully do or even achieve. Bringing the war against Hell's Army back to us, the latest Doom Eternal DLC, Ancient Gods Part 1, brings back all of what players loved from the base game, yet increasing the difficulty up to 10 with new and innovative scenarios never thought of before. New demons, new strategies, as well as new lore taking place right after Final Sin. It's rare to even say a DLC can bring tons of replayability, rather than playing it once for the story and moving on with your life. Yet this DLC remains true to the older title's DLC, and features more than just demon placements and some cutscenes. Just want to get this out of the way, yes, this video will contain spoilers about the DLC, as well as some personal thoughts, so if you haven't played the DLC yet, I suggest you to go play it first and experience it all by yourself, because let's be real, nothing compares to playing through this yourself than to watch someone else do it. And this DLC delivers with the amount of surprises it holds. Seriously, go play it yourself. Unless you hate stuff like the Marauder, you're not gonna like this.
Slayer, what is 9 plus 10? 21.
So what makes this DLC so great? A common issue people had with Doom Eternal was how the game focused heavily on the story compared to 2016's Doom, forcing the story and lore out of the way in favor of gameplay. While Doom Eternal focuses on expanding the lore and explaining the origins of the Doomslayer, the Ancient Gods DLC does a full 180 and goes hard on the gameplay, leaving little to no room for cutscenes or even the continuation of the story. It almost feels like you're fighting to know more about the story continuing right after that cliffhanger the base game leaves us all on after destroying the Icon of Sin. Granted, you probably know half the extended story of this DLC from the base game due to speculation as well as some blatant cues about certain characters, but you're not playing the DLC mainly for the story. This time around, you're playing for the challenges the game throws at you. You're put to the test with every mod available, all masteries, all runes, and all suit tokens unlocked from the start. And the game doesn't make the enemies a whole lot easier from the beginning either. From the gameplay to the extended lore, I love every little bit of this DLC so much that I'm just gonna say it. You should buy it. There's only one thing that bothers me the most about this DLC, and I'll explain in a bit. But regardless, let's dive into these souped up master levels. For starters, the gameplay is phenomenal. Like, my god, are the enemy encounters and environments so creative. To summarize how the gameplay is for this DLC, Ancient Gods takes you out of your comfort zone, but helps you improve and sharpen your skills as a Slayer in return while progressing through the 3 levels included within this DLC. There's a reason why everything's unlocked for you. Not because you already 100%ed the game, that'll carry over, or to make things easier for you instead of having to build up your arsenal all over again, but because everything must be used in order to accomplish each level. Sticky bombs, lock-ons, chain gun shield, the mean beam, flame belch, and nades. You need to use everything if you want to make it out alive. That's what I mean by it helps sharpen your Slayer skills so well. If you aren't that very experienced as a Slayer, each time you die, you'll know exactly what caused that death, and think of ways you could have prevented it. But back to what I was saying, you're put against every enemy in the game without any remorse, and the only way to deal with them is to get good. And I mean there's a lot of ways to get good for Ancient Gods, such as knowing the best combos to use for certain enemies. For example, Revenants can be killed with just one lock-on, same goes for Hell Knights, Whiplash, and can put a Dread Knight and Arachnotron into a glory kill state. Ice bombing a Cyber Mancubus and blood punching their armor off, following with a Super Shotgun Blast, just deletes them. Freezing a Doom Hunter and using the same combo with a Cyber Mank on its sled can easily destroy his sled and leave him exposed to lock-ons, more Super Shotgun shots, whatever you want to use. This isn't 2016 anymore. Shooting just a shotgun will not guarantee victory, but doing some of those sweet little mix and match combos on other demons can. And also stacking. It's something you should make a habit every time you play. Now, you're probably wondering, is this DLC just full of enemy placements, except it's waves of difficult ones in the same room? And at times, yes it is, but there are some crazy unique scenarios this DLC brings to the table. You might be walking down a hallway and realize there's a tyrant blocking your path, and you've got no choice but to kill him in a confined space. 2 marauders, a room full of specters and blood punches, or even a tyrant with a specter whiplash. Yes, they are invisible. No, you cannot lock onto them. Run. Hell, how about fighting a buff marauder and having to kill him first in order to destroy the buff totem? What? No! 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 I can't climb! You see, it's not about how many enemies they throw at you. It's all about how you have to deal with these enemies that make them fun, frustrating, but a great challenge. Basically, everything a small minority of people dislike from the base game, Hugo took a look and said, "Hey, you don't like the Marauder? He's 2. Don't like the platforming? Shut up and climb that. Tentacle? You know, right, I'm sorry. Maybe it was a good idea. Jokes, he's a big one!" Which is why I really like this DLC so much. Instead of catering to making things a bit easier, id Softworks had a laugh and decided how could we make them hate these things even more, and I love that. While these aren't a big challenge, especially Double Marauder, I mean, come on. They added even more challenging enemies that I like, but kinda dislike. I'm not too big on the Blood Angel. It's a pretty cool Maker enemy to fight, and I like how much similar they are to the Maker drones. You gotta aim for the head if you want to get that sweet loot. But when the Blood Angel can do 175 points of damage on Nightmare, then I got a problem with it. Not just that, but the amount of stun lock this enemy has is atrocious. You get hit, and suddenly you're a 90-year-old man for about 5 seconds, which, by the way, you lose 175 points of health. The rest of the demons can just finish you off within a few hits as they swarm you. Without the stun lock, then sure, 175 is alright. A big punishment if you don't react quickly or stand still for too long. But with the stun lock, especially when it can go through walls, that just ain't fair, man. That doesn't mean I hate the enemy entirely. I love it, and I hope to see it maybe added to battle mode. Seems like a good healer demon, don't you think? The summoner makes a return as a spirit that possesses demons and makes them stronger, quicker, practically invulnerable to plasma and ice bombs, as well as indestructible weak points. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, unless it's a possessed Doom Hunter. They really change how you engage against certain demons, such as a Tyrant or even the Arachnotron. The Tyrant being this huge sponge that will absorb any damage you throw at him, and the Arachnotron firing a constant stream of blast fire that can barely catch up to you. You gotta adapt to the situation and fight against them differently, and I love that. But the Microwave mod, or as the community likes to call it, the Meme Beam, just cripples your speed and dash by half and makes you vulnerable and an easy target. Now, I'm not saying this is horrible, it should be removed. I really like this change of pace. I have to avoid incoming fire while meme beaming this spirit, but when it comes to me having reduced speed, it feels more like a punishment for trying to take care of the spirit early on in the fight. If the mod had an upgrade where movement speed was increased while in use, then yeah, I'd love it 100%. But without that, this feels like RNG, especially in the Blood Swamp trials. Regardless, I love these new demons. Hell, I love the glory kills on the Blood Angel too. They got some things about them that I don't agree with, but hey, not everything is perfect. To summarize the gameplay, it's fun, unique, and makes Slayer Gates feel like a walk in the park. Like, seriously, the Slayer Gates in the DLC are like a little warm-up arenas for the next fight. It's kind of hilarious. Now, that's a lot to talk about for the gameplay side of things, since that's the huge main focus of this DLC. Now for the story, it ain't much, but it's pretty interesting. Actually, you know what? Let me try and summarize this the best I can. The Ark survivors aid the Slayer. The Slayer, guided by Samuel, searches for the Seraphim key. This Samuel talks about the Seraphim like some high and mighty god. Samuel Hayden is a Seraphim named Sammer. Sammer has a big ego. Sammer needs the Father Spear to maintain his form. The Slayer goes to destroy the Father's Life Spear. Sammer gets shocked. The Slayer stuffs the Dark Lord Spear in his ass and goes back to the Ark carrier. They run. The intern has the best character development within the game. Vega is the father. Sammer stops you and tries to fight you. Sammer relies on two spirits like a wimp. You don't get to kill Sammer. Feels bad. The Dark Lord gets conjured and is the Slayer himself in the other realm, and the end. It's just filler for the DLC, much like how 2016 was like. Now remember that I mentioned there's something I dislike a lot about the DLC? The Sammer fight. Mainly how it plays out. He's nothing but a recycled con maker and a souped up prowler, which, okay, yeah, it started to grow on me. But then his final stage is him hiding behind two spirits. Like, come on. This man. This is Dr. Samuel Hayden, the guy who woke you up from your eternal slumber, who guided you through the UAC facility and assisted you with going back to hell, but turns on you and banishes you back to hell. The first character we believed was our ally, a human, but instead was using you to gain control over Urdak and replace the Father's throne. Unless the second DLC is going to bring him back in a one last fight, I was hoping his boss battle would have been more memorable. I guess that might be too much to ask for, but he's such an important character to the story that without him, the Slayer wouldn't have these powers or even be awake. That's just my personal thoughts about him, but besides that, much like how 2016 and Eternal ended off, we were given a cliffhanger that, oh boy, nothing but excitement to see if it's gonna be Slayer versus Slayer in the next DLC. I mean, the Dark Lord as the Slayer? With the Codex entry showcasing a Crucible sword fight, I don't care how challenging this DLC is going to be. I'm excited to see how all of this unfolds. Of course, you can't forget about the music that's included alongside the DLC. This time around, we got two new composers who made tracks for the DLC, and oh boy, do they deliver. David Levy and Andrew Hischalt have managed to take the classic style of Doom music from 1993 and managed to make a much heavier and modern version of it for Ancient Gods. I mean, come on. It still brings this Doom feel of being this powerful one-man army, an unstoppable force, and with some sick head-banging moments. What's even cooler is the composer Andrew, who remade the 1993 Doom soundtrack by himself, as well as composed for many other games such as DOS, was given a chance to compose for Doom. And I'm excited to see more of his work in the next DLC, as well as future Doom titles. But that's just my thoughts about the DLC. And while there are some things I disagree with, everything else about it I love to death. The replayability this offers and the challenges this throws at you is amazing. It genuinely has the same classic style and feel of a DLC from the 90s Doom titles, and I can't stress enough that if you love Doom, buy this. Not being paid to say that. I just love it this much, and the whole community would agree with me too, except for the ones that hate tentacles. If you like this DLC review of mine, and maybe would like to see me do more of this in the future for other titles, hit that like button and let me know down in the comments below. If you dislike this video, then give it a thumbs down. Be sure to follow me on my socials, and I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, keep slaying.